Welcome to the Spirit Sisters podcast, where we gather around the virtual hearth to share sacred stories and stories about our life journeys. I'm Karina Machado, and it's my life's passion to share these sacred stories that remind us that we are more than our bodies. Before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to just share a quick announcement. I have built an app. I'm so excited to say. It's a new creative direction for me, and I'm so thrilled to share it with you today. It's called Reconnect and Create, and you can find it at studio.com/Karina. I'll leave the link in the show notes. Until the end of November 28, you can find it at 20% off. So I'm jumping on to share this urgently today. My app is designed for people that are on the midlife journey, my spirit sisters and brothers, who perhaps find themselves in a moment of feeling stagnant or wanting to reconnect with a passion, a creative passion that they might have set aside or forgotten, and perhaps reconnect with their spiritual side. So this is all based on all my decades of work, all my decades of research into the spiritual world and the healing power of sharing these sacred stories. And it's also based on my own journey of walking the spiritual path and my own sort of midlife bumps that I hit over the last few years. And the app includes all of my learnings about how I navigated that too, which is all based around attending to our creativity and our spirituality. So that's Reconnect and Create. You can find it at studio.com/Karina. And now to today's episode. When Spirit Sisters was published back in 2009, one of the ideas that most stood out to me was this thought that among us, living anonymously, are these extraordinarily gifted women who you would not know about. You probably won't hear them on podcasts or read about them, but yet they are living these extraordinary lives where they can communicate with the dead and they can see and hear and help spirit. And I found this just a very captivating idea, and I was so keen to always speak to these women. And it was actually not easy to do so, because they, in more cases than not, they are very private and they just live quietly with their gifts. And they don't seek out notoriety in any form. So I would be referred to them by word of mouth, and some trust would need to be established before the interview could proceed. It's a similar case with my guest today, Jodi Keane, and she's a former chef who has these gifts, and she lives a quiet life. She's very natural, lovely person, as you're about to find out. And I was so privileged to speak with Jodi, to hear about her life connecting with spirit from the age of about 4 is the earliest that she can remember. And she shares a story first up about a moment when she can remember seeing a ghost or feeling a ghost. And yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And I'm really excited to hear what you think about, these people that aren't high profile, yet they have a treasure to share with us in this talent, in these experiences that they've had all their life. Please enjoy our conversation, and if you enjoy Spirit Sisters, please remember to like, share and subscribe, leave comments, and enjoy our chat now today. Here we are. Hi Jodi, welcome to Spirit Sisters.
Hello Karina, thank you for having me.
It's such a delight to have you. As I said to you when we had our little pre-chat conversation, talking to you was the most beautiful, I guess, affirmation for me of why I do these interviews, why I love to share the stories, also why I wrote Spirit Sisters all those years ago, because there are wonderful women like you living anonymously in our midst who have these extraordinary talents. And I'm just so grateful you're on the show today to share some of those stories, which I find life affirming. So thank you so much, Jodi.
You, and you must meet some very interesting ladies.
I do indeed. And that's another part of the reason I wanted to relaunch the podcast, because I was missing that. I'd never sort of let the podcast go entirely, but there was a stage where I wasn't having these conversations. Mm-hmm. And it was just interesting, because at first I thought, the audience will be missing the ladies that I speak to. But then I realized I was missing them. I was missing you and everybody that I have these conversations with, and I guess I just realized how much you all support me.
Yes.
So it's really nice.
No.
So, as I said, you have a lifetime of extraordinary experiences, like 50
Yes.
years worth, you told me.
50 years worth, yes. I've
So,
only started opening up about it though, like especially when I was younger. When you're a teenager, you're trying to fit in, so you never tell people the stories. It's only
I wondered about that.
15 years. I don't care what anyone thinks if they judge me. This is what's happened and that's my story.
Yeah. So, when did you start opening up, did you say?
Probably not until about 10, 15 years ago when yeah, decided people are more open-minded, a lot of my friends, so I started to tell my
That's
stories.
amazing. So you essentially kept it all inside for most of your life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Well, as you shared with me, you remember your first experiences from when you were 4. Let's
Mm-hmm.
start there. The floor's yours,
My
Jodi.
brother, my beautiful brother Clint, and I and my family were staying at a friend's farm in Victoria, and I was sleeping in between my mum and dad. As I said, you said I was only 4. My brother was 7, and I woke up in the middle of the night and heard all this giggling, and I thought, I'm missing out on some fun here. I'm going to go and see what's happening. So I climbed out between my mum and dad, tried not to wake them. I think I was successful. Trotted down the hallway and opened the door, and straight ahead of me was the 2 children sharing a bed, and my brother was on the left. And in the middle of the floor, it was the treetop houses, ones that you pull up. They're
Little
plastic.
plastic.
Yeah, the treetop family house. And that was popping up and down on its own. And the little car with the 4 people in it, was driving in and out. And that was the giggling coming from there. And my brother Clint and I just looked at each other and thought, wow. And the children said, oh, our friend's here. He's come here to play with us. And my brother and I just knew it wasn't a friendly spirit. And yeah, I just remember running back down the hallway. But yeah, the kids had seen it a lot and thought it was their friend. But my brother and I, at that young age, we just knew it was something that was sinister, something that wasn't nice.
That's really interesting, isn't it? So there's a lot that's interesting. Firstly, so at least 3 of you, if not, sorry, you said 2 kids were in the bedroom sleeping.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so they said to you, this is our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you've got 4 kids there witnessing something, and so that's really fascinating. And then the fact that it was an ongoing thing for the children of the house.
Yes.
And then the other piece that I find really fascinating is that you and your brother had this innate understanding that this actually wasn't a fun thing.
No, it wasn't. We knew it was a bad thing. Yep.
And so, what did you do with that knowledge, you and your brother? What did you do after that?
That's all I remember of the whole experience, really. There was a lot more action in that actual house. I remember sleeping in the lounge room one time, and there was a lady cleaning out the fireplace. Like I could hear her scraping the hearth with a shovel, like a metal shovel. So I quickly removed myself from sleeping next to the fireplace.
I remember when we did our pre-chat, you told me about that moment. And so you were about 10 years old.
Yes, yeah.
And the other thing I remember you saying about that is that she looked substantial, like flesh and blood. You saw her.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, some people I see clear as anything, others are a little bit opaque, and some are just like black smoke.
Wow, okay.
I'm just
And
wondering the stage of their process, where they're going, where they are at the moment. I think there's different stages, whether the solid is not long after they've passed or when they're getting ready to go to where they need to be.
so how they present to you corresponds to a point on their, like we could maybe say soul evolution or the
Yep,
soul
it's just
journey.
at what stage they're in, yes.
Yeah, but that so the actual correspondence you're not too sure about, like what it actually means to see a substantial looking spirit.
No, no, or whether whether it's the amount of time they've been. Like I feel that the smoky ones are very old, ancient
Mm.
people, and they've just slowly dissolved into smoke, but haven't quite moved on. That's the feeling I get.
Okay. Now, do you remember, like, could you describe this lady to us, like what she was wearing? Do you happen to remember these details?
No,
Which
not
I,
really. No, not just I just remember a cardigan, whether it's brown, maybe I'm not sure, but yeah,
wow.
much has happened in between that and that. There's so much in here.
Well, let's get
I'm
to
hanging
that good
to.
stuff.
Where do we start? You've got to
Let,
spare a couple of days.
well, we've got time today, and we can always come back and do some more.
Yep,
So
yep.
let's keep going. So, okay, so I'm just thinking, as you're sharing that about being a little girl experiencing these things, I'm also wondering about your life then. Like, what what was your childhood like? Was it an, or would you say it was an ordinary childhood? Was there anything that stood out?
Pretty normal. I remember when I was a teenager, I'm not that I'd ever do one now, but we used to have seances, and they really worked well when my auntie Ria was present. We always got someone come through, but we never really spoke about it much. And we only done a couple of seances, but they always seemed to work when she was there. Um, but yeah, no, none of my other family were really spiritual or had the same sort of things happen, except my mum did have something happen to her at my nana's house. It was very heavily haunted. So I spent a lot of time there growing up in Swan Hill. Yeah, my mum had a pretty good experience there with that lady that didn't want to leave the house.
Oh, really? So what happened to your mum in that haunted house?
Well, it was when her and my dad first started going out, and she used to work a night shift. So she'd get home about 2 or 3 in the morning. And so she used to knit in the lounge room just to wind down. And she was sitting in the lounge room this night with the TV was off, and she's just knitting and just casually looked up at the TV and looked down again, nothing, it was off. And then she was trying to knit, and her hands got slower and slower, and she was trying to knit, but felt like it was really hard. And then she looked up in the TV, and there was a reflection of the old lady leaning over her with her hands over hers, helping her knit.
Oh, I've just gotten goosebumps.
Yeah, so Mum threw the knitting in the air and ran off. But yeah, there was a lot of action at my Nana's house. But yeah, that was Mum's experience.
That's
I guess
fascinating.
I have
Who
the
was?
gift.
That's what I was
She was
going to
the
say.
previous, yeah, she was the previous owner. So when
Ah,
my grandparents moved in, they would find that when they started unpacking, and then they went to get more boxes, and they came back and everything was back in the box. And then my grandpa, when he was trying to fix it up, he would find his tools under his pillow, thrown down the backyard. Yeah, she just didn't want any changes. But they stood in the middle of the house and said, we love this house. We're making it better. We're making it beautiful. So you can leave now. You're safe to leave. And then never saw her again, but you'd hear her walking up and down the hallway, and yeah, at night.
that that is amazing. I've heard before that there are some ghosts that do express themselves quite
Mm-hmm.
strongly at the time of
Mm-hmm.
renovation or moving in. And that lady, she must have had such a deep connection to the home, and you do hear about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But just that story, she must have wanted to help your mum with the knitting. She must
Yeah,
have
or yeah,
seen,
I thought I haven't done this for years. Can I have a go?
but
No, she just loved her home and didn't want to leave. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing you brought up was that your mum, she had the gift. So I often, in all of these years of interviewing people that have mediumship talents, it is passed down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my mum and I quite often we will go to ring each other, and it hasn't even rang. It's just connected at the same time. So things like that. It's just little things like that you don't really think about. You just think it happens to everybody.
So, okay, so we've got you at age 4 having that
Mm-hmm.
experience, and then at age 10, seeing the lady at the fireplace. Was there anything else that really stood out to you in those early years of your childhood that made you think, I've got this ability?
It's mainly when I knew I had somebody with me all the time. It was a lady. It was like my guide, but she was just always there. And it didn't dawn on me till later that maybe she wasn't there for me, I was there for her.
Oh, say more about that.
Because it wasn't until after I was helping people move on, and I thought maybe she was there to yeah, for me to help her, not for her to help me. And I
Got you.
never understood that until later in life. And then I felt really bad. I'm like, did you manage to go to the light or did you find somebody else? Because
So
she had disappeared then. So I thought maybe she did just go or ask somebody else who knew, what was happening.
that's really interesting because and just for the audience to understand, and we'll go on to share more about how this all unfolded. But when you say to help people move on, you help, shall we say, ghosts go to the light? Do you call them ghosts? What do you call them?
No, I call them spirits, really. Yeah.
Spirits.
Spirits.
Yeah.
I will call a ghost if it's a bad one.
Ah, okay.
Spirit is a nicer word for someone who's just a bit lost or in between where they need to be. They're just like a lost soul, really. But the ghosts that are bad, I call them ghosts, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, and we'll talk more about the sort of the negative experiences, the bad experiences that you've
Mhm.
encountered over the years. But share a little bit more about this guide because she was with you. Well, initially you called her a guide, as you just said. Now you've come to think perhaps it was the other way around. But tell us how you first encountered her and how she would manifest.
It was once again when I was young. I remember I used to get tickled on the feet in bed at night to the point where I'd curl myself up in a ball because I wasn't quite sure. I probably would have been not long after that first incident. I might have been about 5. I'd have to ask Mum about the house we lived in, how old I would have been. But yeah, it used to always tickle my feet and just knowing she was there, really, just feeling someone next to me, really. And as I said, it wasn't until I got older I thought maybe, yeah, I was supposed to be there for her.
And you knew it was a woman?
Yes, it's just when I do see things, I just get information. They don't talk to me really. I just get the information. Yeah.
Yeah, you said that you described it as like an instant download that you get.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, what kind of information did you receive from this lady? Do you remember?
That's the thing because I was so young. I just knew she was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got older that I thought, yeah, maybe she was trying to ask me for help, but couldn't communicate, or I wasn't ready to receive that information.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
That's quite a I can imagine that that was quite a moment when you had that understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. So while all of this is unfolding, you're a child and then you're a teenager, I would imagine just trying to live a normal life, Jodi. How
Yeah.
did you reckon with what was happening with you? Like how did you like try and I guess work with this?
Well, it was when I got more visits from people, particularly in one house I lived in. I believe there was a portal, which a lot of people would come through. But thinking back, my husband Sean, um, I met him through my best friend at school, and unfortunately lost her to cancer. And while she was really sick, I would wake up at 18 minutes past 2 every morning and see 2 people standing over Sean watching him sleep. And quite often I'd roll over and they'd disappear, but sometimes I would be laying on the correct side to be looking straight at them so I could work out exactly what they were wearing. She was wearing a white dress. They looked like in their 60s, 50s, and he was just in a suit. And 18 minutes past 2 every morning, and they'd stand there, watch over him while we were losing Tracy. And it wasn't until several years later I mentioned it to my dad-in-law, and he said he's from Ireland, so I've never even seen photos of his parents. But he said that you've just described my mum and dad and the dress my mum used to wear to church. So, wow.
Oh, what a story. So that happened. When did that happen roughly in the chronology, Jodi?
95, so I would have been 24, yeah. And that was while we were losing Tracy, that they were there every morning. And it wasn't until years later again that it was 18 minutes past 2 every morning, and her birth date's the 18th of the 2nd.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it didn't dawn on me till I was telling someone the story again. I'm like, wow. So I
Oh,
still blown away by things that happen even when I'm telling people.
amazing. And what I find extraordinary is how when we think about the signs that we receive from past loved ones and the ways that they connect with us, they seem to use everything at their disposal, don't they, to get a message across?
Yes.
So in
Yep.
this way, so there was a connection between Tracy and your father-in-law's parents.
Yes.
Or,
Yep.
yeah.
And they're
So,
just watching over him. I actually even looked back, because it was an old house we were renting, even looked back at what was on those grounds, thinking it was a connection to the house, and then, yeah, discovered it was a connection to the family.
that's lovely, isn't it?
Mm.
We're just so looked after, and in those moments when we're having a hard time, as everybody goes through, it's easy to overlook that detail, or some people will never even consider that possibility.
No, and quite often they're always there, but some people just don't realise it, I guess.
So that was something that, so for you at quite a young age to lose your best friend is, I can imagine that that is a sad milestone in your life. I'm thinking of it in terms of your gifts as well, Jodi. So how did your knowledge of the spirit surviving the body, so spirit surviving the perceived death of the body, how did your understanding that we go on help you when you faced this loss in your life?
Yeah, well, I'm surprised well, I'm not really surprised. I always think, me being spiritual, she'll find a way to come and say, g'day. But then I think, well, it's not about me. She's obviously in her happy place. She doesn't need to come back here. Yeah, so I always thought, I think we think about ourselves and think they should find a way to come and see us and let us know they're okay. But if they're fine, they don't need to come back. They're happy where they are. But
And it's up to us.
And saying that, I had my auntie, beautiful Auntie Josie, who came to visit, and she wasn't spiritual, but I was very close to her. And I got home from work one night, and I was just relaxing on the couch with my iPad, and then I felt two hands on my shoulder from behind me, and I said, "Oh, hello, who have I got here?" It's quite often I get touched by people. And then same thing down low, and it was my Auntie Josie. And I said, "Oh my God, it's you." And she just let me know that she's happy where she is. And there's a lot of love. And I said, "Thank you for sharing." And she just gave me a little squeeze on the shoulder and then just drifted off. So that was a nice thing for her to visit.
That's lovely. How did that make you feel to receive that visit?
I couldn't wait to tell my cousin, her daughter. Yeah.
So
and
you
I've had a few
received
people let me know that they're doing okay, and I'm happy to pass that on.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. So you receive visits or you connect with spirits that are known to you and that are also unknown to you?
Yes. Well, yes, I do get the ones that are unknown, the ones that I've helped to where I believe that portal was. I had lots of visitors there, ranging from a UK twins that died in a car accident. They were shocked that I could see them. I think they were more scared of me than I was of them. From a little girl with blonde curly hair that used to stand next to the bed with a book until I helped her on. But when I see them going into the light, there's just all I feel is love, and it's just a beautiful feeling to know you've done that.
So let's talk about this, the portal house. So when did you move in there?
1998. We were there for 2 years.
Okay. And how did it become apparent that this house was a very lively house, energetically speaking?
It was only we were there for probably 12 months, and then just I would wake up with people next to my bed or in the lounge room. That's the only place I saw them. Eventually we did move downstairs and there was nothing there. So it was just like that bedroom or the lounge room. And yeah, I just had that many visitors and a couple of bad ones, which I told them they weren't welcome. But one of them used to like yelling my name and I'd get cranky with him if he woke me up. Yeah. But I finally moved him on. He was a stubborn one, but I think he just liked to wake me up and play games.
So he wanted help too, but this was his
But
way
he was happy. Yeah, but he was happy to hang around and follow me around and wake me up in the middle of the night. And I said, no, you need to move on. This is not where you need to be.
So were you seeing all of these visitors as substantial ones or all in different ways? Did they make themselves apparent?
Well, the man that used to wake me up, he was pretty solid. And the little girl with blonde hair, she had like a glow, like an aura around her. Yeah.
So she would come more than once?
Yes, it probably took me about 3 weeks to move her on, but she'd come nearly every night, every second night.
And
she'd
what was
just
the
next to the bed with a book.
with a book? And what was the information download that you got for her?
I didn't really get anything. She was just there. And I just knew she needed help. But like with the twins, I got the information that they'd died in a car accident together. One of them was in shock and he looked at his brother and said, Dave, she sees us. And he went to come towards me, but his brother just pulled on his arm and they disappeared. They just freaked out because I could see them.
That's a fascinating idea. And I've come across it before in my interviews that sometimes spirits are more scared than us to see us. And that is,
Yes.
it's an astonishing idea. So let's talk about time frames. So the little girl who had the book, did you get any sort of feel about what era she was from?
She wasn't an old spirit. She was pretty, I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but fresh. She wasn't new. She looked like from our era, where I've seen other spirits that are in like period clothing or very old. You know, I know they're from the 1800s or something, but she was like, I think she might have only just passed very recently when I saw her. And she was just still in that transit of, because quite often the ones that need the help, the good ones, they've either had a violent death or a very sudden death. So they're still processing where they're supposed to be, what happened, or they're in denial, or it happened so quick, they just haven't caught up yet, or they're still processing. And that's what I felt from her. She was just, something had just happened and she was lost and didn't know where she was supposed to be.
How did she find you?
Well, as I said, I'm sure it's the portal. It just felt like there was a portal and they just kept coming.
And tell us about other ones that came to you there.
There was one man who, he was a bad one. He was in an orange jumpsuit. So I just assumed he was a prisoner and he was very volatile. He was very angry. So I just pretty much told him he's not welcome here and I can't help him because it's hard to help a bad one because that's their exile, I believe, that they don't get to see their utopia if they've done something bad in their life. they'll forever just be drifting.
Mm. Do you feel that in order for you to be able to help them, that they have to have free will and want to be helped?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, like I have had one that said you don't need to stay here, but he said he felt he has to stay here. So I'm assuming he'd done something bad, and he didn't feel he was deserving of moving on.
Yeah. And so do you think there could be the case that if one of these bad ones who's done something quite horrific does decide that they want to be helped, do you think there is help available to them?
I think they might need someone stronger than me, maybe, to work out maybe why they feel they have, they've been justified to go to their utopia, but or whether they now feel they've almost got a conscience and they're feeling like that was a bad thing they did and feeling remorse and think, okay, I've been living in this hell, or not that I believe in that really, but yeah, but that I think I've done my time, so to speak. I think I'm allowed to move on now, and I regret what I've done.
Mm. So we have to take, I guess, or the spirits need to take some agency and responsibility
Yeah,
in order
and
to.
that's one. Yeah, that's the one that I felt like he'd done a bad thing, but now he was in remorse, and that's when I said, I can help you. You don't need to stay here. And yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, like mentally, but no, he would not move on. He said, "Oh, this is where I deserve to be," and I
Wow.
told him, "You don't need to be stuck here."
How intriguing this is. That this portal house brought you these
Well,
spirit
actually,
people.
that previous one happened at Monte Cristo.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's Monte Cristo. I do want to ask you about Monte Cristo. I'm just going to make a note of that. But I can't let go of the portal house just yet.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
I
fine.
need to know more.
I'm just
So
thinking of all the visitors I had.
all the visitors. So you mentioned before that sometimes you do see people in what we would call period costume. Were any of these from that 2 year period that you were in the portal house?
Probably just the twins.
Oh, the twins were in period costume, were they?
Well, I feel they're from the early 1900s.
Ah,
I felt bad for them because I thought you've been wandering around for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were in what kind of accident were they in?
Just the information I got was a car accident. They were in the car together. And as I said, they were more freaked out that I could see them. And yeah, they didn't stick around very long.
Yeah, so like the earliest days of motor vehicles.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
were they in some clothing from that time as well?
Well, like overalls, like brownish,
Oh.
dirty overalls and just caps.
Oh, maybe they were mechanics that were.
Yeah, that could be true. And like a grey shirt.
Mm.
Yeah.
I find it just so fascinating that you have access to these realms that most of us don't have access to. When you think about that, do you have any thoughts on why that is?
Why certain people have that gift, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea. I think we've all got it, but most people don't know how to, I mean, even I don't know how to turn it on, but I know it's there. But I think everyone's got the ability, but that's just finding that right part that you need to use to open up that third eye.
Yeah. Do you believe that you just, for whatever reason, your third eye was naturally open when you were tiny?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Maybe got implanted in there in the womb, who knows?
Yeah, it is such an intriguing topic, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
And the people that are, very strong and like I can't really control it, it just happens. But whereas people that can, it's well, maybe I can, I just don't realise I can.
Do you mean like stop it from happening?
Oh no, well, like increase it or just really
Ah,
bring it in when you need to,
yeah.
It just seems to come to me.
Yeah. Tell us about realizing that you, whether it's your role or your soul mission, that the right thing to do was to help them. When was the first time you realized, oh, I'm supposed to help and this is what I'm going to do?
I think it was the little girl, but she just kept coming, and I'm saying, why are you coming to visit me? Tell me why. I don't know you. Yeah, and same thing, that bit of information like I'm here every night. I can't go anywhere. So then I thought, well, maybe you need help to move on.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, bless her. Your story reminds me of a friend of mine who's been on the show. Her name's Danny, and she saw a little girl coming to her, very similar actually. She just kept coming and coming, and the child's name was Annabelle. And your story reminds me of her. And she was also
Yeah.
coming for help to be crossed over,
Mm-hmm.
go to that light. So
Yeah.
it's a very beautiful gift. I think, we help people in flesh, we help people who aren't in flesh, but the
Mm-hmm.
point is that we're helping.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a beautiful feeling too.
How does it feel when you know that you've helped someone go to the light?
Well, it's almost like when they come to visit, I feel anxious and so it's almost like I feel freed as well when they go. It's just like and as I said, you just feel all this love, and it's like they're showing me. So I feel the same feeling that they're getting. It's just, yeah, amazing.
Wow, that's so beautiful. So, so beautiful. Uh, so there's something that I want to ask you about, which I think is very interesting given your life experiences, and that is the near-death experience you had when you were a teenager. And I'd love for you to share the story, and then also any reflections you have on the connection between your NDE and what you're able to do with the
Mm-hmm.
spirits.
Yep. Well, I was born with a hair, lip, and cleft palate, so I've had a lot of surgeries. And this one was when I was about 14, and they'd broken my jaw, so I had my jaw wired. And coming out of the anaesthetic, and then probably the second day after that, I remember looking up on the wall behind me with this big plastic bag with all these instruments in it. And I remember thinking, I wonder what that's for. So that night, I remember laying in the bed and hearing this strange noise, like a droning, pulsing noise. And then I realized that noise was coming from me. And then I saw all the staff come running in. And then that's when I came out of my body and I'm looking down on the bed just as one of the nurses were pulling that plastic bag off the wall and taking out these big cutters. And I remember looking down thinking, oh, that's what that's for, because I've got my jaw wide and I'll need to cut the wires to get a tube down. So that's all I remember. I floated up through the ceiling. And then I was walking along a bridge and I had a really bright side on one side and just a normal dark, not dark, but just low light. And I wanted to just lean over and go into the bright side. And just as I'm leaning over, I felt all these hands just gently push me back. And they said, not yet, not yet. And then that's when I got sucked back down into my body and back into the bed. And I remember looking up a nurse saying, did I just die? And all she said was, you'll be fine, everything's okay now.
Wow.
Yes.
And do you feel that that near-death experience enhanced your gifts at all, or did it have any effect on what you are able to perceive with the spirit world?
I believe so, because not many people get to go up there and have a bit of a sneak preview. Not that I saw much, it was just a bright light. But it did open my mind a bit more, thinking, well, there is more than just our solid earth here. There's more. There's more to see and do.
Yeah, especially when, well, I was going to say, especially when you have a helping role, but I think I think we all have a helping role. We all have something that we're meant to do, but not everyone embraces it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at what point do you think that well, actually, I was going to ask, when did you become comfortable with knowing you're a medium, but would you even describe yourself as such?
No, I still don't. It's strange, isn't it? I just call it the gift. And yeah, I still don't consider myself a medium. Maybe because I don't really practice it. It's just something that happens. Like I'll just the most recent thing. One of my friends, Annie, I was talking to her on the phone, and she said, "Oh, I'm losing the plot. She said, I've lost my keys." And she's got my PO box key on it, and the door key, and the beautiful sunflower key ring you gave me. So she said, "Can you help me out?" I said, "I'll do my best. When I go to bed tonight, I'll see what I can do." So when I went to bed, I just focused on the sunflower. Asked anyone for any help, and then I had a dream that I was in a vintage clothes shop, and I saw a brown leather coat. So when I woke up at about 3 that morning, I just took all the notes down and thought, I'll ring Annie and let her know the information I got. It probably doesn't mean anything. So I got a man who was a painter that built decks, had dropped it into the police station. But then on my way to the police station, this is in the dream, I stopped at a vintage shop and saw the jacket. Anyway, I spoke, and then I sent her a text, and then 5 minutes later, the phone rang. She said, "You're unbelievable." She said, "My stepmom last week gave me a vintage coat, and I haven't even worn it, and the keys are in the pocket." It was an orange coat, but brown's near enough for a dream, I think.
So
But
that's
yeah,
really interesting because that's more of a psychic gift. So have you had other instances where you've had psychic moments like that, or you've had made predictions that have come true?
it's mainly experiences. Like I'll have a dream, and then like 5 years later, I'm in that dream. Like it's exactly how I've dreamt it. Like places I've never been to, and then I find myself in this place, and it's not till I'm right in that moment of the dream I was in that I realised, well, this is my dream from 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so that happens a fair bit.
Mm.
Mm.
Do you feel like your gifts are evolving or developing or branching out in new ways?
Yes, well, I'm actually trying to open up a bit more and yeah, let it happen a bit more instead of just sweeping it under the carpet.
Okay. And I know from our conversation recently that you're really stepping into this role of helping. And you mentioned Monte Cristo before, and for anybody who isn't aware of Monte Cristo, it is a historic homestead in Junee in New South Wales, and it's famed or it's infamous as Australia's most haunted house. At the moment, it's closed, but you used to be
Yeah,
able to go and
yeah.
stay
Well,
there.
we were the second last people to stay there before it closed.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Taking time there. So yeah.
So I think if I've got this correctly from when we chatted, Jodi, you went there to see if you could help. Is that right?
Yeah, well, like my friend Glenda and I do at least one ghost tour or two a year. We'll go away. And whenever we pick a place, I never read up about it. So I'm not getting influenced. So we'll pick it. And like I knew Monte Cristo was the most haunted, but I had no idea of the story, why or how. But yeah, picked up on a lot of stuff while I was there.
Tell us what you experienced there.
Well, that one I was telling you about with he was like a black smoke, so I believe he's been there a while, and he's the one that I said that he doesn't need to stay there, but he felt like he didn't deserve to move on. But yeah.
What do you get a sense while we're talking about that? Do you get a sense of, well, firstly, do you have spirit guides or people who are in spirit or beings who are higher beings in spirit who are guiding you in this process of helping?
I don't feel like there's like when I was younger, when there was always somebody there that was like a regular. I
Yeah.
don't feel that anymore. I just seem to get lots of different visitors.
I'm struck by something you said to me about spirit people and how they get stuck in the wrong world. I remember you said that, and I made a note of it because if I got this right when we were chatting prior to recording, Jodi, you believe that they can leave, that they can, and I wrote this down. Tell me if this is the right quote of yours, that you said they can grab that remote and change it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us more about that. And also, is it like that in this life too? We can change the remote.
Yes, I should get that on a t-shirt because I tell a lot of people that they're not happy in their life or their job. Like only one person can make that change, and that's you. Just grab that remote, change the channel. That's all it takes. Like I've just left a stressful job, and you think about the money and the security, and it's not worth my health and my stress. So just find something else. Yeah.
And so when you're helping, this is something I meant to ask earlier as well, when you're helping a spirit person go to the light, tell us about that process. What do you do? Do you tell them to change the remote in a loving way?
Pretty much, yes. I'm just like you don't need to be here. You've done nothing wrong. You don't need to be tied to this world. There's a better place for you. And I'm sorry for what happened, but it's time to move on. You don't need to be here, and it's not where you need to be right now. And as I said, quite often it's a sudden death or a violent death, and they're still processing. They probably don't even not even aware that they've actually passed. They're just going about just thinking, why can't anyone see me? Why am I just wandering around? I think they're still processing. They just don't understand that they need to move on. They're not their vessel is gone, but their spirit needs to travel to where it needs to be.
And thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. And is that I guess, a mental process that goes on within yourself that you talk to
Yes.
them sort of telepathically? Is that how it
Yes.
works?
Yep. Pretty much. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I don't never talk to them physically. It's just like a connection. Yep. Without talking, I guess.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe we're moving into a stage of our growth as humans, despite what we're seeing with war and everything that's going on. There seems to be a
Mm.
parallel growth that is moving into more of these telepathic realms where we're branching out more spiritually. There's a podcast that I don't know if you've heard of it, Jodi, called the Telepathy Tapes, and it's so fascinating.
Okay. I'm going to write that one down. Right.
Yeah. It's about autistic children who are non-verbal, so they communicate using these devices, and they are telepathic and they communicate within each other, like towards each other.
That's
And
amazing.
also, as the show unfolds, you get to know that their skills are not just telepathic within the living; they can also,
Mm-hmm.
see into other realms as well. So it's very, very interesting.
Wow. Know what I'm doing tonight.
So yeah, so that's interesting that you do that process. But
That's why I feel amazing when I do, yeah, send them through because I'm almost feeling their sadness, their pain, and they're not sure what happened or why they're here. And that's when I release them, and I feel it too. So it's amazing.
so Jodi, one thing I was thinking when you were, for instance, describing seeing the little girl with her book at the end of the bed, she came most nights for 3 weeks. Do you wake up your husband and say, "Oh, she's here again," or do you talk to him about it over coffee the next day? Like, what's that? I guess the blend between that spiritual life
He
and the
doesn't think I'm
everyday.
crazy. Well, he's pretty spiritual too. Like our house we live in now, it belonged to a great friend of ours. That Sean's been coming here since he was 14 and said, I'm going to buy this house one day. And John Cox, who owned it, beautiful British man, he had to go into care just up the road. So we bought the house off him. And Sean was having a beer with a mate, and my mate was telling me the story. And he said Sean just picked up his beer and went to have a sip and said, Topsy just passed. And he got the phone call 5 minutes later.
So Sean's your husband?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So he's very spiritual too, but not supposed to tell anyone.
Oops.
It's our secret. Yeah. So he felt Topsy pass and we're living in his house. So, yeah, very special house. And Tracy, his sister, also got ready here for her wedding back in 95. Yeah, the same year she died. So, yeah, this house has a lot of beautiful memories. And
Even looking at it, I can see it's got a lovely kind of feel about it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stories too.
So that's lovely. And so
so he's pretty spiritual and he's not surprised. He sees things happen and yeah.
You told me that you and Sean have a bit of a reputation as animal whisperers together.
Yeah.
What's that about? Tell us.
I'm trying to think of the first story. We went around Australia in 97 for a year. And our first experience was just camped out in the middle of nowhere. And we were there for 3 nights and a wild dingo would just come and sit next to us at the fire. Well, like we never feed animals, so it's not like we're feeding all these animals, they come and visit. And he would just sit with us at the fire. If we went off to the toilet, he'd follow us. For 3 days, he just was by our side. And the morning we left, he jumped up we were just about to drive out, he jumped up on a stump and just sat there and just threw his head back and howled. And I was crying. I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't want to see us go. But yeah, it was amazing. That was our first probably experience. But the portal house is the one that had dogs just visited, at least 5 different dogs a week. And they would just turn up, sit at the front door, or I'd have a door open. They'd just come and curl up under the dining room table or run in and jump on the spare bed, the cheeky things. But yeah, at least 5 different, it was back before you didn't really have a phone or anything. If I had a phone to take a photo of every dog we had, it'd be hundreds over the 2 years. Yeah.
That is extraordinary. And the story of the dingo is also extraordinary. And I mean, I don't know how or why these things happen. I've never looked into it, but I think it must be something about your beautiful open energy, yours and your husband's together. They're not afraid, are they?
No, well, we love animals, and my husband is an electrician and carpenter, so he'll go and work at houses, and he'll be fitting off a PowerPoint, and there'll be a cat curled up on his lap. And the owner will say, I have to take a photo because that cat hates everyone and no one will believe me if I told him he was curled up on your lap. Yeah, little things like that. But we love animals, so. And we have a lot of birds. They used to come in and sit on our shoulder or sleep on Sean's chest while he was sitting outside. And yeah.
That's a beautiful testament to the kind of people you are. Must be, because I don't think it's normal for birds to come and curl up and be on your chest.
No.
Don't think it's normal.
Even a currawong. I even laid down on the grass and hand fed a currawong, which is pretty rare. I think they're pretty skittish. I just connected with him and made these little sounds, and I've got it on video actually of me feeding a currawong. He just popped up and yeah. We have a real connection with animals. Yeah.
So beautiful. I love that. And I mean, I can sense your nature is very it's very open, it's very kind, it's very friendly. So no doubt they can sense it too. But when we chatted, I made note of this word. You said, "Oh, I'm a cruiser." You said I'm a cruiser. So you're very relaxed. And I wonder what part have your decades of extraordinary experiences played in shaping your personality or the person you are today? Like, are you relaxed because you know that we are more than our bodies?
Yeah, and I think it's not being afraid of death too. People are, and life's too short to be cranky, by the way. like I've worked in high stress jobs. I was a chef, so it's pretty full on. Most people would say, oh, you're a reject chef because you never get cranky or anything. Life's too short to be cranky. But yeah, just knowing there's more out there. This is just one of my chapters. I've had many before and I'll have many after. So it's not like I'm stressed that I need to live this. I mean, it's nice to live a good life and make sure this one's good, but there's more chances. And
So
it doesn't end. When you end, it doesn't end.
when you end, it doesn't end.
Mm.
So when you mention chapters, you've had many before, you'll have many after. Do you mean lives that you've lived?
Yeah. Not that
Do
I
you,
remember any. Maybe I have to get hypnotised. But I
you don't
love,
remember?
I love. I mean, that's what I think dreams are. They're your previous memories, pretty
Mm.
much. That's what I think. Um, where was I going with that? Oh, I love seeing the stories of children that remember their past lives. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So
It,
it's out there. It happens.
wow. And speaking of chapters, you are writing a book about your experiences.
Yes. I decided, it just dawned on me that I thought, geez, I've got a lot of stories to tell here. Even if it's just for me, like, even if it's not published, it's almost going to be like my journal, my story, my diary. And if it happens, I can share it with everybody else. But yeah, just so many things happen, small things, big things. Yeah.
Is there
So,
one particular message you want to communicate or theme in your book?
well, at the risk of sounding like a cliche, there's no need to be afraid of death. But there is a catch. You've got to be a good, wholehearted person, um, and respectful, and you will find your utopia. But that utopia is not forever. It's almost like a bus terminal. You think of your most favourite place on earth, and that's tenfold. You get to spend that time there, but it's not forever because it's until you choose your next vessel or it's chosen for you. That's when you come back.
And do you think we come back? Because, I've heard this idea that we sign soul contracts and that we choose our bodies and our families based on something that we want to experience or learn. Do you think it's the case that we come back to learn things?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you learn something new every day. Actually, it's something else has just popped into my head. This happens all the time. It was actually at this house. Sean's other sister had her reception here, and it was my brother-in-law's girlfriend's, brother-in-law's sister's boyfriend, and he was Spanish. And I think I've got Spanish heritage from what I know. Not that I was thinking about it that night, but she just introduced me to him. And we just shook hands and just looked at each other, and it was like, I know you. And I felt like he was my brother.
Oh,
And we both just shook hands and froze. And we both said at the same time, we need to talk later. I never got to. They disappeared. But that's the first time I've ever met anyone that's like, I know you. And he was the same. We just looked at him and said, I know you.
yes.
It wasn't like just me thinking, oh, you look like someone I know. We just both stopped and froze and just said, like, I know you. And it
That's
felt
so
like it was my
powerful.
brother. And we both said at the same time, we need to talk later. And then before I knew it, I never
Mm.
got the chance.
That's a
I
shame.
know. I wouldn't even know what his name is now. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
so that's a past life thing for sure.
yeah. So, and you feel that in your genealogy there's Spanish heritage.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And Italian, yes.
Ah. So,
Mm.
as we come to the end of our conversation, I wonder, are there any important experiences, stories that you haven't had a chance to share yet and you want to share with us, Jodi?
Well, there would be, but we'd be here for hours.
Maybe pick one.
Well, the one, as I said, yeah, don't be afraid of death. As I said before, it's there's more out there. Yeah.
When was the first time you think you understood that that's the truth?
Probably my NDE, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's next for you, Jodi? Like, what are you happy to keep working with your gift as you have been, or is there something new calling you?
Well, I feel I should pursue it more because, I mean, the last episode I had actually 2 weeks ago. I'll try and show you in that corner there next to the door. Um, I've seen a black smoky mass there a few times, and I haven't seen it for a while. And I had a friend over with a baby the other night. Anyway, and she asked me, she said, what's been happening in your world? She always wants to know my experiences. And I said, oh, actually, I haven't seen the black mass for a while, the black smoke. And these are the twins. My friends are twins, and one's got the baby. And Nat, who was holding the baby, she started to well up. And Ning, her sister, said, no, you don't have to worry now. It's not here now. She's just telling you the story. She said, no, I saw it when I was feeding Patrick about half an hour ago while I was sitting on the couch. She said, it caught my eye. And I said, oh, it's no harm. It was just curious because we don't have many babies here in this house. So I was just curious to meet Patrick the baby. But yeah, she said she saw it.
So when you say you want to do more with your gift, what is it specifically that you'd like to do?
Just to help people, really. That's all I love to do. Yeah. The next lotto numbers would be good, but
The last question that I'm going to ask you is one that I've started to ask all of my Spirit Sisters guests at the end of the episode. What can an encounter with Spirit teach us about being fully alive?
let me think about that one. As I said, it's knowing that if the spirits are here, they need help and they move on to a beautiful place. And it's out there for everybody, as long as they're a good, respectful, wholehearted person. So that's how you should live your life, I guess.
Beautiful message. Lovely message to end our episode on today. Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Sisters. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. And don't forget to rate and review the show. Have an experience you'd like to share with me? Get in touch at my website, karinamachado.com, or find me on Facebook at Karina Machado Author. After all, there's nothing more powerful than a story.